Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning, everybody. Well, let's see, the chat's still not working. We had a crazy day yesterday, of course. Donald Trump released a transcript. A bunch of other things happened. Treasuries down pretty considerably yesterday. Of course, we were all arguing about this 07 half. We went well beyond that, and we settled right here at 29. So now we've got this 27 down below us from single prints and everything. 27, 26 half, something like that. E-mini, on the other hand, I want to point out, even though it was up and it's up again today, they have not completely retraced this move up here. And this, probably this right here, the 3,000 level or so, still pretty significant upside target. And, whether it gets there or it goes, I don't know. It's all pretty much, it's pretty hard to say. I mean, the thing is the story over? I don't know. Like, Nancy Pelosi hasn't filed articles of impeachment yet. Certainly not articles of impeachment, but they haven't even voted on doing, starting an investigation. They've started an investigation, but they haven't actually had a vote on it. Apparently they have the votes. I don't know if Nancy's going to call it or not. That could happen today. That could never happen. I don't know. I kind of am of the opinion that Nancy is probably not going to call that vote unless she has to. Because why put everybody on record if there's no need, if you can just do the investigation anyways? So, and they already were. So, I don't know about that. But then, we also get real news today. We also have real news. So we've got here in 8 minutes, we got final GDP quarter over quarter, looking for a reading of 2.0. Final GDP price index 2.4. That's an important number to pay attention to because, again, that tells us about inflation, and that's the primary thing that we look at. Goods trade balance, looking for a reading of a negative 73.3 billion. Wholesale inventories, preliminary wholesale inventories, looking for a reading of 0.1 versus previous reading of 0.2. Unemployment claims 210. So we're going to get some news here. We'll see if that moves the market significantly or not. It's kind of funny because this news past 2 days, really moving us. And we're kind of like, I don't know. Maybe the markets just need a breather. I kind of need a breather, don't I think that it's all just getting a little bit too much. I think Democrats probably overplayed their hand a little bit too much. I wonder if people are ever going to get sick of it or not. But that is the news in our day. So, anyways, we've got about 7 minutes or so. There is I know. Pressure does appear to be favoring down, but we got our levels up. We're still kind of in a spot. See, we're above the opening range high actually, so can't actually say yet. Okay, so I have some toaster pastries. I'm going to eat while we wait for the news here in 5 minutes.
YouTube Uzi Knesset mornin'. YouTube J Constant Hello Bitcoin looks bullish. 8K holds?
I don't know. Who knows? 50-50 as far as I can tell. And good morning, Uzi. So now that Uzi's here, we can get started, right? Let me make sure I got all my stuff set up here correctly. I'm going to pull up the Forex Factory down into here so that we can try and read the numbers from there if they don't come out on quickly on Twitter. Just note, they really bid the treasuries up there.
YouTube Uzi
Quite a lot.
Knesset. I can leave if you want face with tongue.
Okay, so there's the news. They're selling a little bit. GDP in line with expectations. Goods balance negative 72.8 versus a negative 73.4. So it was actually a little better than expected. That's interesting. What about the price index? I'd like to know. Also in line, 2.4. Jobless claims 213 versus 210. And wholesale inventories. I'm still waiting on the number here. Bum 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 ba dum ba dum bum bum. 0.4 versus 0.1, so actually a little bit better than expected. Well, 0.4 half is an okay place. Oh, I can't believe that I got filled on that. Big iceberg at 4. Somebody still wants to buy after that. I'm going to let it play out. It's not a positive sign, though.
YouTube Uzi Knesset. New NT8 update comes with weekly and monthly settings for the VWAP. Sweet.
Yeah, I said that is nice. Too bad. You know, my VWAP has had that the whole time. Get with it, Ninja Trader. Actually, their indicators are better in significantly better in one very important respect. Okay, they did trade down through 04. There was only 688 to take it off for that time. They load so much faster. Oh my gosh, like the volume profile is like instant compared to like the cams, for instance. That's the real advantage, I think. Okay, so they're still sauntering back and forth here. It's kind of funny when it was sitting here at 0404 half the first time, and I sold 04 half. I was surprised that I got filled so fast, but I just remember that price from earlier in the week. I remember us spending a lot of time there, having a hard time getting above it, and then eventually, having news and just, really careening. So that's why I took it there. And honestly, the only number that was really different was the preliminary wholesale inventories. So that is the change in the total value of goods held in inventory by wholesalers. So that is good, but there can be some caveats with that, because if that's going up, that
YouTube
can mean...
Uzi Knesset. It's a little slow on my end at 90 days worth of data, but my computer is Methuselah status. Lol.
Oh, really? Well, I'm sure that imagine how slow it would be if you were using a third party indicator for it. It's kind of funny because they actually have some of the same problems as some of the other ones. Like when you zoom out too far, they get kind of these like weird jaggedy lines. For instance, it has something to do with the way that they draw in DX. Wow, they had an opportunity to take it down there. There was certainly a lot of quotes there in that location, but they still haven't moved, so that makes it very difficult to tell if we can move. I don't know if you can hear the dog crying in the background. He seems to think that today is different and we let him out early. I'm just such a mean dog owner, guys. That I let them sleep in. That's so terrible, isn't it? Okay. Well, they took it there a little bit faster at 04, but it's still not really going. After 3 years of relentless pursuit of the real Donald Trump, Adam Schiff, not various Democratic candidates for POTUS, will become the face of his party. I think he's going to drag Dems into a swamp of recrimination and hyperbole if economy stays strong and peace prevails. Trump wins. This is from Geraldo Riviera. Well, he has an important point that I would think that we should consider for the politics of this, and that is that the people in charge on the Democrat side of this investigation do not look very good in public. Okay, so 03 is stacking up a bit now. They actually bought a ton there, and there was some orders at 19 and okay, so 1900 hit 04 and then 1400 hit 04 half, and I saw that almost all happen at the same time. So that is somebody pretty aggressively trying to hold price. Okay, there you go.
YouTube, Greg Orlovsky, Kudlow going to be on Fox in a few minutes. May not matter.
Yeah, that's the end of that for us. Probably I should buy that. Yeah, I thought so. I was just like, there's no way I'm gonna get filled on limit on that. Okay, hey, what do you know? There you go. Not bad. Of course, now they're gonna be like, oh, we're done. Sorry, Seth. That was all we wanted was 06. We're done. Cuddler's gonna be on Fox in 5 minutes, so like at 8:45 Eastern time. So I'm gonna get more quotes here. Maybe. Sure is going back and forth a lot.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, greater than Sanders calls for National Wealth Registry to enforce new tax. These people scare
What?
me.
Is that for real? Oh, man, look at that. Look at that take. Something else is going on. I You don't see treasuries tick like that very often. Okay, something's up. Now, in all fairness, liquidity is a little bit low, so that's part of maybe why it's trading the way that it is. But there must be a piece of news that hasn't hit the markets yet. Could it be impeachment related? Because the way this is ticking up is like they're fighting it and all, but this is like somebody saying no, like for real, like you should get out of the way. And he's making it incredibly obvious for you too. They're stacking these big stacks and they're taking multiple prices at a time and they're trying to get you to get out of the way. They're quite confident about it. The E-mini is fading down. E-mini is still in a place where we could sell it maybe. Okay, so like here's the opening range high. But my own signal doesn't really give me a spot, so I think I have to say I can't take a trade there. U.S. House panel received declassified whistleblower complaint from Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Okay. I don't think that that's it. And there's a big stack again. I think that opening range high is an okay price to mess with. I just want to see. Okay. If you take one there, how far?
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, large bets made at 62.05 in ZB.
6205. I missed it. Was there a ton of there was an iceberg there then? Oh yeah, I can see they sold it and he bought it at 05. Breaking: Director of National Intelligence not planning to release whistleblower complaint about Trump. What the hell? Why not? They approved it for release. The Democrats are trying to destroy the Republican Party and all that it stands for. Stick together, play their game, and fight hard, Republicans. Our country is at stake. Tweets Donald Trump. I can't imagine that it has anything to do with whistleblower complaint. That seems pretty insignificant. Now, these guys at 08 are not getting out of the way. I mean, look, they traded 39.03 and it's still 2000 bid. They sold everything at 7.5. Okay. Well, I'm going to try and get my 4 out of it since, I don't really know what's going on. Can I get it? Can I get it? Well, that'd be disappointing if I only get... Okay, cool.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, despite yesterday's plummet, the week still has a bullish slant to it in ZB.
For sure in ZB, yeah. But, I mean, this is the problem with the curve, though, you know? Like, the Europeans, they're buying the 30-year. So, it is going to be up. It's not going to come down as much as the others. Probably better to look at the 5-year for our clues on direction.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, during Europeans lol.
Right. Like in terms of direction, we want to look at the 5-year, especially if we're going to move down, and then the 30-year to see for clues if a buy is starting. So that we saw that the iceberging at 05, I think is important. I got out because I wasn't willing to take two ticks back. Fetch. Another signal. Okay. I don't know about this. White House Economic Advisor Kudlow, U.S. economy looks to be in a turning zone. Back up. Darn. That sucks.
Twitch, Romy213, hello.
Hello. Well. I'm going to have to say that signal did not work out for us.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, I usually wait for larger activity. 400 to 500 contracts on a block trade is more for short-term reference. 05 was hit 490 on the bid, so it's a temporary line in the sand.
Right. Okay. Whistleblower urgent concern complaint released by House Intel Committee. So is that, I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of headlines coming through about this, but then when I actually see them come through on Twitter, we're not seeing moves in the treasuries. This news is clearly trickling out.
Twitch, Romy213, I want to test STH. Twitch, Romy213, Squid 3.
There you go. Anyways, and now we're starting to see some pretty reliable indications of interest failing. So I think I need to be hands off for a little bit. So I had a good trade that could have made quite a bit more on that didn't, and then I lost what I had just made off of that second signal. So Fed takes 50.1 billion of securities in overnight repo operation. I don't know. And this seems to me like there's somebody really, really aggressive in here looking to buy it, and some higher time frame people fading that.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, have you checked your ZT contract yet? Does it display correctly on your end?
Well, I'm sure that on NinjaTrader it probably displays correctly. So there it is on NinjaTrader. Down bottom right corner. That looks right to me. I don't think I'll keep that one open though. Over here, I'm gonna have to watch. December.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, there may update fixed it for both NT and Jigsaw.
So
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, for me, at least.
Is it supposed to go in quarters? No, it's still not. I'm just seeing stuff on both sides of it. It's still not right. Probably, I need to, let me just show my face here for a little bit. Okay. I might have to go into connection details and like download instrument information again. An update.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, you probably have to tweak the instrument settings in NT8.
Nah, it doesn't look right to me. It's because you're getting bid and offer, and I think it's supposed to be in eighths, right? So
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, if you're using the bridge, at least.
Yeah, not
if you're using a direct feed to day trader, then never mind lol.
Yeah, I don't think that they've fixed it. Well, I'm unhappy because the big stacks have failed me twice. And now I'm getting my more reliable signal telling me to buy here. So, based on that, there's a pretty good chance that they come and stop me out first before they come back up and recover. Breaking. Trump used power of office to solicit election interference from Ukraine, alleges the whistleblower complaint released by the White House. I mean, this action could be because of the whistleblower complaint, but so far I'm not seeing anything new that, I don't see. So if that is what people are trading, then I'd have to say it's just the robots. It's just the robots, and that it might have to come back over to the 04.5 area. A lot of room if it holds here.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, see what just happened to you is the tough part for me in working my strategy. Big volume at 05 and ZB, right? Someone's gonna lose on that bet, but who? The market usually probes around these.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me...
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, big trades, and on the micro level, I wrestle with determining who's gonna lose.
For me, So the thing is that when I see an order flow signal, for instance, we stepped up there at 07 and there was like 3,000 on the bid. And so I bought it. and I think that they sold through me. I kind of forget exactly how it happened, but it didn't work out. Is the gist of it. Oops. Hey, wait. It did take me out at the 2. That was wrong. Let me just get out there. That wasn't what was intended. Anyways,
YouTube, Greg Orlovsky, DNI testifying at 9 a.m. EST.
the DNI, meaning, what does that stand for? Now there's a stack at 05 half. So should I sell it at 05? But 04 was where this move started. And that signal has failed me twice. So anyways, that's what I'm saying. What I was trying to say was, when I see order flow signals like that, I'm trying to take them.
Uzi Knesset. I know we're kinda looking at different signals, but just sharing my own little challenges with the group grinning face with big eyes. Twitch, Romy 213. Are you live on YouTube too?
Yeah, I stream to the multiple platforms through Restream, and most of my viewers are on YouTube. We usually get about 24 people or so. There's a lot of volume there trading, but they're willing. It's kind of like, well, what you're saying is totally the problem, I think. Uzi is like, okay, obviously there's big guys on both sides. And since I don't know at this point why he's taking the trade, it's hard for me to know which side is going to hold and which side is bigger and more, is going to hold more. Normally, when I'm looking for just order flow signals themselves, that would be a signal to me. And I think I would like to buy it here. But what I've been trying to do here with these quotes is it's really kind of looking more for pushing and signs of overextension. And so if I just went based off of this, I wouldn't have taken those trades. But I took those trades because it is a order flow signal that when you're getting fast action tends to be pretty reliable. Or it has been recently, and now all of a sudden, just there 2 or 3 times in a row, it hasn't been. It might not even necessarily be that he's trying to pull a fast one on us. It could be that there is somebody else really wants to sell it through. So I probably shouldn't have taken 2 of those there, right? And again, we're not sure. I mean, is it because of the whistleblower story? I don't know.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset. Super safe and did nothing and missed the boat big time. YouTube, Uzi Knesset. That's what happened to me yesterday with 26 in ZB. Huge volume there. Line in the sane. Which side to take? I almost got lured into buying it, which would have slaughtered me lol. Instead I played
super safe. Gotcha. Is there a term gossip blower? The Republican pushback on the whistleblower report is beginning. I heard 2 separate Republicans that this is a report on a second-hand information and is therefore bunk. I asked both, what if the information is true? I have not gotten a straight answer on that. Kind of depends on what is actually in the whistleblower report. I would kind of guess, though, that even if some of the information is true, that there's going to be conclusions and allegations in there that are beyond the whistleblower's ability to say. So you can come in and you could say, the whistleblower report is true because one thing in it is true. He talked to Ukraine and he asked them to investigate, to look into Joe Biden. Wouldn't even necessarily say investigate, but to look into it. He said, look into it. And that's true. And so they say that. But then the whistleblower also says, because of this, that he's committed, this gross violation, yada, yada, yada. Well, then he's making a conclusion that he is not qualified and does not have enough information to make. That's kind of what it sounds like. And I mean, the bigger thing is this whistleblower complaint was out there, and they processed it correctly, as far as I can tell, and they dismissed it. And if it was all secondhand information and the guy that published it had a political bias, then they were right to ignore it. And whoever leaked this was committing a crime. And I just have to say, it really bothers me that they're able to get the whole country up in an uproar on unverified secondhand reports. Like, ugh. How can you run a country under those kinds of circumstances? And they're going to say, well, that's Donald Trump. You shouldn't elect Donald Trump. Well, but it's not Donald Trump. It's you. It's you doing it. And you could do this to any president that you don't like. It's dangerous, I think.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset. Trump's crimes are the only crimes that matter. Law.
Trump's crimes are the only crimes that matter. I was reading yesterday. Look at this. The most convincing, and I don't mean convincing from a logical point of view, but more from an emotional.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset. If they even exist, haha.
If they even exist, more from a emotional, compelling kind of point of view, was this post on the Donald last night that was saying, well, why does it matter if Donald Trump asked Ukraine to look into Joe Biden if Joe Biden didn't do anything wrong? I thought that, hasn't everybody been telling me that it shouldn't be matter if you're being investigated if you're innocent? Right? Because that's what they've been saying about the people that have been criticizing this whole investigation this whole time. And I just thought that one was really, really funny. And it's kind of weird to see the disconnect. I think that Democrats yesterday were putting a little bit of a face on, because Tuesday night, what was it? Tuesday night, they were like euphoric. Wednesday morning, the piece kind of got ripped to shreds, at least in the market, it did. And then they were all still kind of trying to play off like that it was a done deal, but you could see that their heart wasn't in it. And meanwhile, when you looked at the Donald Trump supporters, they were amped up. They were making so many memes and points and things that you're like, oh yeah. I mean, there's the hypocrisy. There's the this, there's the that. And there's this kind of this issue where it's like, think about the Bill Clinton thing. They impeached him for lying about having an affair. And of course, the investigation started from something much larger because there was an alleged sexual assault. But in the end, the American public saw it as that you were attacking him for an illicit affair, and that it doesn't matter. And the fact that Newt Gingrich got caught up in his own affair was probably like the thing that really sealed it, that sealed the American public's perception of that event in the end. They made them say, you shouldn't have tried to impeach him, and they rewarded Bill Clinton in the end with being reelected. And I just look at the whistleblower report and everything else. Okay, it's telling me to buy. And I have a really hard time seeing them impeach him out of office over the whistleblower complaint. And I think that eventually the American public are going to think that it's silly. I don't know if I'm going to get Phil here, guys. It would be nice. It would be nice, though. Tory conference is going ahead as normal, even if MPs don't vote to put the Commons into recess. Ministers in Downing Street say it's business as usual, with Boris Johnson speaking on Wednesday if Labour tries to ambush us. Manchester isn't that far away, says one minister. Given the location, it might have been okay for me to have tried at 06, but I think it's a little bit too late for that. Now do I have to buy into 07, you know? Well, I made that mistake a few times already. Would have been a good trade. Nope. This sucks. This really sucks. I should have marketed into 06. It's a long end taking the lead, says Alligator. Well, there is definitely some delta buying there in the 30-year. Kind of a little bit in the 5. Tired Washington Post, New York Times articles based on anonymous sources. Wired whistleblower complaints based on anonymous sources. What is the deny? We're live blogging McGuire's testimony. Who is this guy? McGuire whistleblowers. We still don't know who the whistleblower is, but the report makes it clear that he or she knows what he's doing. Okay, so they're actually going to do. What time is it that you said again? (9 a.m. Eastern time. So that's right. That's starting right now. Trump without strategy and fast-moving impeachment inquiry. Okay, how can you have a strategy? I honestly, when these sorts of things happen, it's kind of like I would always sit down and think, what if I was in this situation? You know? So it seems to me like the way that this is going, that this could happen to anybody, even if you've never done anything wrong, you know? And how can you react and respond in a situation like that? Sacramouche going pretty hard against Donald Trump on this issue as well, which is kind of interesting. Oh no, it's not. Remember he made the flip. I forgot about that. When they didn't put him on TV for being a Donald Trump supporter, they started putting him on it on TV when he became a defector.
YouTube, wrong ZH, morning.
Good morning, Ron. Maybe I should have taken a short there in the ES around 2990 area. I could have taken a short, and I wasn't paying attention. The letter from the Inspector General to Acting Director of National Intelligence Joseph McGuire was released along with the redacted version of the whistleblower's complaint ahead of the hearing by the House panel. Brexit UK Parliament Speaker Burkow says the election cannot take place before October 31st under existing statutory framework. Yeah, that's kind of why he asked for an election like 2 or 3 weeks ago, guys. Hmm. I kind of wonder if the Remainers are regretting their strategy a little bit, because um, if there's no election, it sounds to me as it stands that he can just unilaterally leave. Okay, hand signal added to civil rights groups database of hate symbols. That's hilarious. I was not a witness to any of it. Whistleblower complaint released to public. Finally, an uptick.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, hand signal and a haircut lol.
Right. But you know, the right wing trolls have tried to make a couple of other things. They've tried doing this with a bunch of other stuff, but I don't think that any of the other ones ever really
Uzi
caught on.
Knesset, bowl cuts are official a hate symbol lol.
Oh gosh, come on. that's all. It's all kind of a little silly, I think. Wow. I guess I shouldn't say it's silly. It's just I can't believe that people are so willing to let somebody turn something into, so like doing that is like offensive now. Like, how can you let somebody just come in and do that and dictate that? No, I think that you go and you say, screw those people. I'm not going to let them dictate the culture. But I think that was kind of the whole point of the trolls, is to point out that the social justice warrior mentality is so extreme that you can just goad them into doing almost any kind of stupid thing that you want.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, the ADL is responsible for 99% of terms of service and community guidelines on Facebook, Twitter, and here on YouTube.
I was hearing yesterday, Steven Crowder was making a video, and he said that YouTube was changing some of their guidelines, and that it seemed like they were specifically targeted towards the incident that happened between him and Maza or whatever. Probably so that he can't make fun of Maza when he's critiquing the things that he says. But I wasn't able to actually ever find a story or any information or anything like that.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, look at their trust and safety councils. ADL is always top of the heap.
Yeah. Well, I find it unfortunate because, the idea behind the ADL and the Southern Poverty Law Center is a good idea. There are a lot of groups out there, and you meet somebody and you want to know, okay, who is this person? They're part of this group. What do they actually believe? Do I need to run away from these people or whatever the deal is? There should be information online to be able to do that. But the problem is that the way that they carry out that mission is completely inappropriate. It's basically like a racket for starters. A lot of the groups that they label out there are not, it's like somebody made a Facebook page. Like,
YouTube,
who
Uzi
freaking
Knesset,
cares?
good idea, yes. But social media gave them too much power. Now they're thirsty for control of social
Yeah,
norms.
and they kind of use it to control. But then the bigger issue is that they use a lot of I want to say conjecture and guilt by association to claim that certain groups are racist, white nationalist groups when they're not. And there's distinctions between a lot of different ideas on the far right, and they don't differentiate between them at all. It's just that people that believe that European culture should be preserved are not white nationalists, and they say that they're white nationalists, and I just don't think that that's fair to those people. And there's people out there that are being harassed, because they're saying that they're white nationalists when they're not. I don't think it's fair. But it comes down to a guilt by association. It's like, okay, they joined this online group because it was about preserving European culture, and it happened that a couple of the people that joined that group were white nationalists, and so ergo it's a white nationalist movement, when that was never what the the ideology that the group was created for was about. But of course, that is going to be something that white nationalists would be potentially interested in. So, okay, they maybe they are. Okay, so here's watch live.
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, it's ironic to me that Jewish organizations have become the ones to make blacklists for private individuals.
Regular forces in a long simmering war. Ukraine desperately needs our help, and for years we have given it.
YouTube, Uzi
And on a
Knesset, that's the
bipartisan
thing about
basis.
Hitler. Everyone with power
That
dreams
is
of being
until
him.
2 months ago, when it was held up inexplicably by President Trump.
This is okay. I'm going to mute this because this is just the chairman of the committee giving his political propaganda introduction speech part. I was wondering, okay, so are they moving based off of something that's going on in this hearing? Probably not. I didn't see overextension to signal a swing, but they certainly took a tick down, and my swing indicator certainly shows that 130.08 may have been one. I'm a little
YouTube,
frustrated.
Algo Lover, GM winking face.
Good morning. I'm a little frustrated because, I took those two trades on failed signals, and then there was another signal that was super great that would have worked out, and I would probably already be out of, that I wasn't able to get filled on. So, I should maybe, scratch this and just kind of sit back and think about life for a little bit. Good uptick again. So that's another thing, is that when they're turning, almost every tick kind of looks significant for some reason. David Marlasoko. We were told there would be a quid pro quo. You feel so empowered to push the limits. I don't know. I normally I try and be like balanced about this sort of stuff, right? And like, obviously the discussion about it matters primarily because it matters to the market, and it's been moving the market. But I've kind of gotten to the point now where it's just kind of like, I just want to commiserate with you guys. Like, this whole thing is kind of starting to become emotionally exhausting watching it. And it's kind of just nice to talk to people and be like, well, I mean, this thing and this thing. And they're like, yeah, I see it that way too. Because when you go on Reddit, oh my gosh, so ridiculous. So ridiculous, the stuff they say, the arguments they make. And it's just like they're living in a completely different world. It is so bizarre. Um, and it seems to me like they say, oh, what he did is so terrible, and I'm just sitting here like, based on everything that we know about how the Russia investigation even started, Obama did way worse things than I'm sure that almost every president probably done something that would kind of venture into this kind of a territory, and nobody ever did a thing about it. You know? Is there a case for impeachment? Absolutely not. There is no high crimes or misdemeanors, no treason, no extortion, no treason. Robert Ray respected. That's Donald Trump quoting. I add that it looks like the Republicans are like running a full court press today.
YouTube, Greg Orlovsky, OMG. Adam Schitt's talking about the Constitution.
Right. So this is another thing that I think is hilarious. Is Nancy is the one that's done it the most, but the Democrats have been keeps doing this. It's like, we have a constitution, and I'm like, okay, yeah, but there's no crime, so like, how does that even factor into this situation, right? Like, they're just using words. It's all just
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, at Greg Orlovsky lol. YouTube, Greg Orlovsky, Democrat toilet.
right. It's well, I think the reason why everybody kind of this particular thing seems to be
YouTube,
really
Greg
standing out
Orlovsky, hi Uzi.
to people on the right is probably because of this whole I don't even remember her name now, but the 16-year-old autistic girl that just
YouTube, Uzi Knesset, hi grinning face with big eyes.
that just testified before the UN, right? Because everybody's like, okay, she's a 16-year-old girl. She didn't finish high school. She doesn't know anything about climate science or public policy. What makes her qualified to speak before the UN on this subject, other than the fact that she's a high-profile activist? Nothing. And if the question is like, is global warming
YouTube,
real?
Uzi Knesset,
Greta.
Greta Thunderdome.
Greta, that's right. Her name is Greta. If this is a question of like, are they lying to us, or is the science real? And that's kind of what the big dispute in the popular culture, not particularly a issue that I care
YouTube,
about.
Algo Lover, your ZN long is valid, just lil high in the move but okay hand.
Yeah, I tried to get into it earlier, and it's just been really difficult for me. Anyways, if in a case where there's two people saying conflicting things, an autistic girl is the last person that I would ask to try and sort it out. No offense. I know that I'm like treading on like, this could be really offensive and it's just the truth that though that's sort of with the condition, they're not good at that sort of a thing. They're easy to deceive. So why are they putting her in front of there? Because she's a kid, and it exploits people's innate instinct to protect children. That's what it's all about. They're manipulating you, I think, and that's what
YouTube, Greg Orlovsky, they used her.
Yeah, that's what the majority of people on the right are seeing. And so now we come over to this whistleblower complaint, and I look at it, and it's like, I don't think there is a crime here. And even under the qualifications of the legal theory that they're using to say that it's a crime, but I also think that the legal theory that they're using to say that it's a crime, which is that it's an in-kind contribution to his campaign, is, I think,
YouTube,
dubious.
Uzi Knesset. I hear all complex trading decisions made by the world's largest hedge funds have a teenager at the center making the final call.
Right. It's just so when I'm looking at this, it appears to me to all be emotional manipulation these days. It's all emotional manipulation. And so Democrats, they talk about they talk about the Constitution to manipulate. So I really don't think
YouTube,
they care.
Algo Lover. ZN, watch the 130, 105, which is a target OK hand.
105? Sure. I would really like to see when 130, 14 half. So there's single prints up there.
YouTube, Greg Orlovsky. 9:30 Fed Kaplan, 10 o'clock Fed Bullard and pending home sales.
We're going to have the E-mini opening up here soon, too. I really wish that I had been able to take that short. That could have been 5 points. Wasn't paying attention. At 7:45, we got to pay attention and see if we get a signal, and maybe we can take it. Read the whistleblower complaint about President Trump now. Okay, so now it's out there. I want to see what are they saying about this over here on Reddit. Well, we're getting a better bid at 7.5. But are they actually ever going to take 08? Okay, so here's the PDF of the whistleblower complaint. This complaint is total nonsense. Okay, but I would like to see some comments about it from within the report. The complaint is based on secondhand knowledge of the phone call and media reports claims Trump was pressuring Zelensky to investigate Biden, which turned out to be false and other nothing. Written by Viraj Deepak, whose only concern in this world is protecting his political messiah, doesn't care about this country or his family, just to strike Trump. Okay, so now let's go to r/all/top. Here's the mega thread about the testimony. Here's the mega thread about the thing. It wants me to sort
YouTube,
by
Algo Lover. ZN, if they can bid through that 130, 105 target, then you may get the push you mentioned, but one step at a time. OK hand.
Yeah.
Twitch, Nullmonkey 0. Dems have lost it. Lol, Trump gonna win by like 75% now.
Maybe. I don't know. It sucks they're well, I mean, I like that my price is still bid and everything, but they're just not going, are they? If you're all into politics, today will be a day you won't want to miss. Okay, so Democrats are talking it up. Nothing about the complaint, though. It starts by saying using the power of his office to solicit interference from a
YouTube,
foreign
Algo
country
Lover.
in the
Tuesday,
2020 election.
2:29 p.m. Algo Lover. S buyers WLD need to regain their bid above 3001 for any sign of strength or short-term trend flip. If not, down finger thinking face.
Yeah, I was thinking down. Like the target on the upside is the 3. And they stack 2,000 on top of it. So then if I took that short, they would flip. Like that's the way that this has been going lately. But because I'm long, they're going to go down and stop me out.
Twitch, Nullmonkey 0. Finger pinky face. Lol.
Number 10 source adds, this is definitely not a backstop with content, no backstop, full stop. Instead, it is an alternative way of addressing the issues, which itself would include consent. I was not a direct witness to most of the events described. However, I found my colleagues' accounts of these events to be credible because in almost all cases, multiple officials recounted fact patterns that were consistent with one another. In addition, a variety of information consistent with these private accounts has been reported publicly. And it ticks back up. Pretty aggressively slash, well, I don't want to say aggressively, but kind of like somebody has complete control of it. He's like, sorry, Seth, but you're talking politics. I have to punish you today. Oh, yeah? You're just mad that you lost money yesterday because the market liked that Donald Trump was, that it was positive to Donald Trump yesterday. Okay. Oh, so here's the mini. I was like, well, what was with that little move there in the ES? Okay, it was because of the open. Volume on this open is much less clear than it was yes. Okay.
YouTube, Algo Lover, your ZN trade began yesterday afternoon, which is simply a bounce, stop run of some sellers from yesterday's dip thumbs up.
So that was a stop run of some sort. The E-mini really stopped down and all of a sudden all of this buying comes into the treasury, but was there actually... Okay, here's the guy he's talking now.
To successfully complete its consultations regarding how to accommodate the committee's request. Mr. Chairman, I've told you this on several occasions, and I would like to say this publicly. I respect you, I respect this committee, and I welcome and take seriously the committee's oversight role. During my confirmation process to be the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, I told the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence that congressional oversight of the intelligence activities.
This is just a bounce slash stop run of some sellers from yesterday's dip.
With the intelligence community. Having served as the director of the National
I don't know, Algo Lover. I just have to say that the way that the market is behaving this morning is incredibly weird. Because when it started out, they were moving like they thought they knew something. And then when they got into this area, they've started to act really unreliably.
While I'm serving either in this capacity as acting director of National Counterterrorism or when I return to the National Counterterrorism Center to ensure you are fully and currently.
I mean, they're taking it bid at 08. They could totally go for 09.5.
Oversight of the intelligence community. The American people expect us to keep them safe. The intelligence.
It's like when it's ticking like that.
YouTube, Algo Lover, S
continuation.
anticipated pullback into yesterday's range of 3001 didn't go overnight. Okay hand.
I would like to say.
I don't understand why a stop run like that. Is it because of Brexit?
A life of service, and I'm honored to be a public servant. I served under 8 presidents while I was in uniform. I have taken the oath to the Constitution 11 times. The first time when I was sworn into the United States Navy.
I still don't see anything on Twitter.
YouTube,
listen
Algo
to
Lover,
him.
you are good on the ZN trade into 130, 105 at least. Okay hand.
You think so?
Dan Coates administered the oath of office last December.
Well,
Became the director of the National Counterterrorism Center.
that wipes out my mistake.
Oath is sacred
So I'm happy about that.
of our Constitution.
Well, I don't even want to call it my mistake. I shouldn't call it my mistake, but
I swear true faith and allegiance
my
to
bad
the
trade.
document, but more importantly, I view it as a covenant I have with my workforce that I lead and every American, that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of my office.
It's going to be interesting to see if they react to Algo Lover's 10.5 and how strongly they do it. Because
YouTube, Algo Lover, gotta run, HAGD, thumbs up.
he's got to go. Because at the moment, it's not showing me anything significant about it. It has targets well beyond that. In fact, I'm
YouTube,
starting to
Greg
see them add
Orlovsky,
them up
Draghi
here.
speaking too. Wish I got paid to babble.
I wish I got, well, yeah, I don't really get paid to babble, do I?
Serving in America's special operations community more than make up for the demands.
I wish I did, though.
I was fortunate
Like if I could make $5,000 a month just from talking,
business world after 3
that'd be
years
great.
to lead a nonprofit charity. Some question why I
So I don't know why I was thinking about that yesterday, though. I was like,
YouTube, Greg Orlovsky, you need more viewers and then charge money.
serve.
need a much bigger YouTube channel, and we need to sell you guys something better. I mean, we got the cryptocurrency thing, and that's great, but most of you aren't
YouTube, Greg
interested.
Orlovsky, probably have to call the S.
And rewarding. In the winter of
Yeah, I think the ES is selling pretty good there.
coach to return to government service to lead the National Counterterrorism Center.
Um,
Request was totally unexpected.
but yeah, like I was just, it seems to me
Then again,
that the people that are going to be attracted here are going to be people that are very skeptical about things, and they're trading and are willing to be patient.
YouTube, Ace Trades, at Greg Orlovsky like the way I do.
We're not into the jump on the hysteria bandwagon, right? Because that's just me, and like attracts like, I guess, and that is kind of counter.
YouTube, Greg Orlovsky, no, I meant read the S high Ace.
with last month's departure of Dan
Oh, there's Ace. By the way, Ace.
two exceptional leaders,
I was you might have alerted me to a good short earlier, and now I'm like, oh,
intelligence
missed it.
community until the president nominates and the Senate confirms the next director of national intelligence.
Anyways,
I accepted
what was I talking about? Oh yeah,
this country,
you guys just aren't going to be interested in Bitcoin because it's like it's like
and the mission we execute.
practically the opposite of all of those things, So it's kind of weird. Most of the people that are in the Patreon are not the same group of people that are the dedicated watchers every day, which is really interesting to me. But when I think about that, I keep saying, well, what we need to do is we need to do more for the people that are watching every day, because those are the ones that really deserve help,
You will always be a person of integrity.
and should be focused on.
Nearly 4 decades of public service,
Anyways,
my integrity has never been questioned until now.
what would be nice? Because I was looking at what are some things we can do to make the stream a little bit better? This microphone is kind of starting to go a little bit. But man, to upgrade the sound system, that's a lot. I mean, I could afford it, but I don't think that it would be responsible.
YouTube, Ace Trades, I know, I just got on. I saw that clear short at 2,990.50. Thursdays is my late morning.
So you saw one at 90, huh?
That is before us today.
That sucks. See, because my thing gave a signal up in there, and I was paying attention to the Treasury trade, so I didn't take it.
Because as
But with the way that they are selling at the moment,
therefore,
I would love to catch a good short. Although with the market might start moving too quickly for us to really do something.
at the start of ethics training the executive branch each year, we are reminded that public service is a public trust.
YouTube, Greg Orlovsky, I think we are math guys. BTC people more swing trading and gambling.
Well, yeah, they really are gambling. And here's the other problem is that the people that are going to be interested in Bitcoin aren't necessarily going to be interested in my indicator, because at the moment my indicator says don't buy. And that's not what they want to hear. They want to hear that the investment that they made is going to moon. Because it's basically like there's two groups of people, okay? There are people that are interested in Bitcoin and have bought it. And there are people that have already been burned by Bitcoin and are no longer interested in it. Which group of people do you think is more likely to be interested in my chart? Well, it's the first group, except for that if it says don't buy, then they're not interested. So, of course, they're going to be jumping into it at exactly the time when it's the least useful to them. Well, I don't want to say the least useful to them, because it's going to tell you when to get out, too. But then, of course, when it tells them to get out, it's counter-cyclical, right? When it's the most useful, I think, is when it tells you that it's over and it's time to sell. And of course, they don't want to do that. They want to think that it's just going to keep going. And then the other time that it's the most useful is when it's down at the bottom and it's time to buy. And by the time that it gets down to there, most of the people just aren't going to be paying attention, right? So we're just going right through this 10.5. I'm not even sure at this point what I should be doing about targets because it's just going and going and going.
Such calls are typically subject to executive privilege. As a result, we consulted with the White House counsel's office, and we were
There's certainly a lot of volume going into 11.5, though.
subject to executive privilege, a privilege that I do not have the authority to waive. Because of that, we were unable to immediately share the details of the complaint with this committee, but continued to consult with the White House counsels in an effort to do so. Yesterday, the President released the transcripts of the call in question, and therefore,
There's still some iceberging at 11.5, suggesting continuation. This could be a spot, though. There's so much volume there. In fact, I think it would be prudent to take a profit. Okay.
Complaint, as well as the Inspector General's letter. Let me also discuss the issue of urgent concern. When transmitting a complaint to me, the Inspector General took the legal position that because the complaint alleges matters of urgent concern,
He's still just kind of yapping. I don't know.
I was required under the intelligence.
I don't know how this particular. People seem to be saying that this is important, but so far everything that he's saying seems like insignificant to me. Like just what you would expect the Director of National Intelligence to say about a situation like this.
In addition to being classified, assert a flagrant, serious problem.
I suppose we're moving up though because the E-mini is moving down.
Relate to the funding,
Sure would love a short.
administration of an intelligent activity within the responsibility of.
I don't know if this is a good spot.
However,
We need a pullback of some sort first, I think.
conduct by someone outside the intelligence community,
Especially since the Treasuries are
administration, or operation
pulling a lot of volume at 11.5.
supervision. Because the allegation on the face did not.
That suggests at sideways at least for a little bit,
My office consulted
if not an outright pullback. And so that was a strong sell at
and included
11.
the Inspector General in those consultations.
Yeah.
After reviewing the complaint and the Inspector General's transmittal letter, the Office of Legal Counsel determined that the complaint's allegations do not meet the statutory requirement, definition concern, legal, urgent concern.
There you
They
go.
found that I was not legally required to transmit the material to our Oversight Committee.
There you
under the
go.
Whistleblower Protection Act.
There you go.
An unclassified version of that Office of Legal Counsel memo was publicly released.
Well, they've already said as much, though.
Those of us in the executive branch, Office of Legal Counsel opinions are binding on all of us. In particular, the Office of Legal Counsel opinion states that the President is not a member of the intelligence community, and the communication with the foreign leader involved no intelligence operation or activity aimed at collecting or analyzing foreign intelligence. While this OLC opinion did not require transmission of the complaint to the committees, it did leave me with the discretion.
So he is making an important point on this issue, which is that the president is allowed to discuss things, and he's not a member of the intelligence community. And the report was a whistleblower complaint from a member of the intelligence community, saying that he made an intelligence community violation of some sort.
As informed as possible
So
of this process move forward.
he's basically saying that
Points about the situation we find ourselves
Congress pursuing these allegations in the way that they are is actually a threat to the way that
throughout.
foreign policy is conducted.
That they have done everything by the book and followed the law.
There's a big bid at 10.5.
Nature of the information,
I don't seem to trust these anymore, though.
executive privilege issues were resolved.
Should I?
Wherever
They just gonna...
we have worked in partnership with the Inspector General on this
Yeah,
matter.
it's back.
While we have differing of opinions on the issue whether or not it is urgent concern, I strongly believe in the role of the Inspector General. I greatly value
I'm
the
just gonna...
independence,
If there's a trade and it moves up, I'm just gonna let it go.
and the committees informed of matters.
So I don't
within the
trust that.
Intelligence Committee. Second,
Learned my
executive
lesson
privilege
for
prevented
today.
us from sharing the details of the complaint with the committees until recently, this does not mean that the complaint was ignored. The Inspector General, in consultation with my office, referred this matter to the Department of Justice for investigation.
Kaplan, aging of the workforce a key issue for GDP growth.
Whistleblower complaints may have been provided to Congress regardless of whether they were deemed credible or satisfied the urgent concern requirement. However, I am not familiar with any prior instances.
Fed is seen buying $315 billion in U.S. Treasuries over 6 months, starting November 1st, to increase reserves, says Morgan Stanley.
I believe that this matter is unprecedented. I also believe that I handle this matter in full compliance with the law at all times, and I am committed to doing so, sir. I appreciate the committee providing me this opportunity to discuss this matter and the ongoing commitment to work with the Congress.
I'm going to mute him for a little bit, but his opening statement does not sound favorable to the Democrats, and I don't think that when they start questioning him that his answers are going to be that he's going to be trying to help them, but we'll see.
The whistleblower complaint involved the allegation of that. It is not for me in the intelligence community to decide how the president conducts his foreign policy or his interaction with leaders of other countries, sir.
Well, I'm not asking you to opine on.
We're getting a signal.
Policy. I'm asking you whether, as the statute requires, this complaint involved serious wrongdoing, in this case by the President of the United States, an allegation of serious wrongdoing by the President of the United States.
He's not going to answer
Is that
that.
not the subject of this complaint?
It's not their place to make that
is
kind of a
the subject
determination.
Of the allegation of the complaint, and two things, Mr. Chairman.
And let me ask you about that.
He's not getting the answer that he
Serious
wants.
allegation of misconduct by the President credible. Did you also find that credible?
I did not criticize the Inspector General's decision on whether it not was credible. My question was
okay.
whether it
He's
not
got to be
is
careful about what he says.
concern and the 7-day time frame that would follow once I was notified.
My question,
So
Director.
I have no question in his judgment that he considers it a serious matter.
Well,
The issue that I dealt with.
And you would concur, would you not, Director, that this complaint alleging serious wrongdoing by the President was credible?
It's not for me to judge, sir.
It is. It's not for you to judge. You shall provide it to Congress. But indeed, you did judge whether this complaint should be provided to Congress.
Possible short at 2979.
YouTube Ace Trades, possible short at 2,979.00.
It's already too late. I don't know about this, dude.
That is
It's
correct. That
it's
is
kind
in
of
the cover letter
moving
that's
around a
provided
lot,
to
okay?
The committee, I believe that's also made public, the decision and the recommendation by the Inspector General that, in fact, the allegation was credible.
Can we also agree that it was urgent that if the President of the United States was withholding military aid to an ally, even as you received the complaint, and was doing so for a nefarious reason, that is to exercise leverage over the President?
I'm not sure,
to dig up
but it does
manufacturers'
appear
weapons. Can
that
we
the market
agree
may
that it
be
was urgent
reacting
while that aid was
to
being
this conference right now.
There are two things.
I'm talking
So
about
that
the
might
common understanding
that
of what
might
urgent
make
means.
positions
The Inspector
tough
General said
for us.
This was urgent, not only in the statutory meaning, this was urgent as everyone understands that term. Can we agree that it was urgent?
It was urgent and important, but my job as the Director of National Intelligence was to comply with the Whistleblower Protection Act and adhere to the definition of urgent concern, which is a legal term.
And to adhere to the meaning of the term shall.
Yes, sir.
In this case, you
I'm
sought
not
a
ready
opinion
to
of
take
whether
that.
shall really means shall by going to the White House.
No, sir. There were two things. As I said in my
I would have
statement,
gotten filled there.
one, it appeared that it also had matters of executive privilege. I am not authorized as the Director of National Intelligence to waive executive privilege.
And at any time over the last month that you held this complaint, did the White House assert executive privilege?
Mr.
YouTube
Chairman,
ace
I
trades.
have
Yeah, it was
endeavored-
good for a
I
point
think
is all.
that's a yes or no
So you
question.
so you say that it's already played
Assert
out.
executive privilege?
They were working through the executive privilege procedures and deciding whether or not to exert executive privilege. And
So they never exerted executive privilege. Is that the answer?
Mr. Chairman, if they did, we would not have released the letters yesterday and all the information that has been forthcoming.
What?
The first place you went was to the White House. Am I to understand that from your opening statement? It wasn't to the Department of Justice. The first place you went for a second opinion was to the White House.
World Trade Organization to authorize the United States to impose tariffs on around 7.5 billion of EU goods in aircraft subsidy
Not
dispute.
whether or not it met urgent concern.
And so the first place you went for advice as to whether you should provide the complaint as the statute requires to Congress was the White House.
I am not authorized, as the Director of National Intelligence, to provide executive privileged information.
Yeah, I'm glad that I didn't take that.
As a member of the executive branch, to check to ensure
it's-
that, in fact, it does not.
I mean, it certainly was like a turn there, but I'm not seeing enough evidence of overextension yet.
That was not the question.
I am seeing a lot of quotes here.
It has executive
So I
privilege,
think
not
it's going to turn
I should send
at
down
some
to
point,
Congress.
but there's too much of a risk of it
Party you went to outside of your
really
office
breaking out at like
advice
2980 or
counsel
something like that
to
first.
The White House.
I have consulted with the White House counsel, and eventually we also consulted with the Department of Justice Office of Legal Counsel.
And my question is, did you go to the White House first?
I went to the Office of Legal Counsel for advice. Yes, sir.
Well,
The
I'm asking which way first. Did you go to the Department of Justice Office of Legal Counsel first, or did you go to the White House first?
I went to the office, my team, my office, went to the Office of Legal Counsel first to receive whether or not the matter in the letter and in the complaint might meet the executive privilege. They viewed it and said, we've determined that it appears to be executive privilege. And until executive privilege is determined and cleared, I did not have the authority to be able to send that forward to the committee. I worked with the Office of Legal Counsel for the past several weeks to get resolution on this. It's a very deliberate process.
Well, Director, I'm still trying to understand the chronology. So you first went to the Office of Legal Counsel, and then you went to White House
what
counsel?
Adam Schiff meant to say is, but you're still not giving me the answer that I want you to say.
I'm just trying to understand the chronology. You first went to the Office of Legal Counsel, and then you went to the White House counsel?
No, sir. No, sir. No,
Tariffs
we
on
went to the
European
White
goods
House
is not good.
first to determine, to ask the
Okay,
question.
that's
But
all
that
I
should
wanted to
already
know.
be
So
priced
you
in,
went to the
right?
White House first. So
U.S. is escalating its trade dispute with the EU, is what Trading Floor Audio is saying.
for advice first about whether you should provide the complaint to Congress.
There were issues within this, a couple of things. One, it did appear that it has executive privilege. If it does have executive privilege, it is the White House that determines that. I cannot determine that as the Director of National Intelligence.
But in this case, the White House, the president is the subject of the complaint. He's the subject of the wrongdoing.
Doesn't matter.
Where when you went to the White House for advice about whether evidence of wrongdoing by the White House should be provided to the Congress, were you aware that the
Okay.
White House counsel has taken the unprecedented
So
position
the
that the privilege applies to
Treasury is
communications
coming down.
involving the president, when he was president, involving the president when he wasn't president, involving people who never served in the administration, involving people who never served in the administration even when they're not even talking to the president. Were you aware that that is the unprecedented position of the White House you went to for advice about...
I don't think that that matters
involving
to
White
the
House?
law as it relates to executive
As I said in my
privilege.
opening statement, I believe that everything here in this matter is totally unprecedented. And that is why my former directors of national intelligence forwarded them to you whether or not it met urgent concern or whether it was serious. This was different. And to me, it just seemed prudent to be able to check and ensure as a member of the executive branch before I sent it forward.
I just have a couple more questions. I'm going to turn over to the ranking member, and he may consume as much time as I did. The second place you went to was the Justice Department. And you went to that department headed by a man, Bill Barr, who was also implicated in the complaint. And you knew that
YouTube,
when you
Algo
went
Lover,
to the
nice
Department
trade,
of
thumbs
Justice
up.
for an opinion, correct?
Talking about the long?
Bill Barr was mentioned
Where I
in
got
the
out
complaint.
at?
Mr. Chairman, I went to the Office of Legal
It's kind of one of those ones, like, when I'm on, I'm really on, right? I got the exit almost to the tick.
to receive whether or not this met the criteria.
Yes, but that ICIG
There might be another further leg up, though.
frequently
It's
disagreed
hard to
with the
say.
opinion of the Bill Barr Justice Department, did he not?
The way that Emini is behaving at the moment is a little frustrating. I would like to be short, but don't have enough confidence at 29.79 to take it. That's basically the best that they're giving you. I would like to see a bust of
YouTube, Algo
79
Lover, I
first.
think so, thinking face.
That you go to a department run by someone who's the subject of the complaint?
Part of my issue here is I am getting a
YouTube, Algo Lover, face with tears of joy.
a spike. I'm getting a spike of quotes in the E-mini,
Mr. Chairman,
but the E-mini is in a range, quite an extended range, more than I've seen.
YouTube, Algo Lover, 9:38 a.m. Algo Lover, S buyers will need to defend above 2,969 for any attempt at holding this range or trading higher this AM. If not, then you know nerd face.
Yeah, I remember that. It's just where can you pick a spot to take it, though?
There's a statute that says shall, and even then you said you had the discretion to provide it, but did not.
So I'm just not familiar enough with the ES's behavior. This is something that I've never seen before, so I can't take it.
Office of Legal Counsel, in order to get the material to you.
I don't have confidence on it. Well, there's a new low.
Yesterday. Now, I have
It
to
was
say,
actually a little nonchalant.
perhaps at the timeline.
It might be just because they're listening to this.
Or you.
They're trying to parse every little
Make sure they make prudent
little statement from this. I think they're
President
probably.
released transcripts of his call with the president of the Ukraine.
This is where it's like, you got to remember, most of Wall Street is Democrats, and they they might be a little too excited about this DNI testimony. So far, I just don't hear anything incredibly noteworthy.
Was a political hack, do you, Director?
I believe that, as I said before, Mr. Chairman, I believe the whistleblower is operating in good faith.
Well, then they
has
couldn't
followed
be.
the
Then
law.
they couldn't be in good faith if they were acting as a political hack, could they?
Mr. Chairman, my job is to support and lead the entire intelligence community. That individual works for me. Therefore, it is my job to make sure that I support and defend that person.
You don't have any reason to accuse them of disloyalty to our country or suggest they're beholden to some other country, do you?
Sir, absolutely not. I believe that the whistleblower followed the steps every step of the way. However, the statute was one in this situation involving the President of the United States, who is not in the intelligence community, or matters underneath my supervision, did not meet the criteria for urgent concern.
I'm just asking about the whistleblower right now.
I think the whistleblower did the right thing. I think he followed the law every step of the way, and we just got stuck with.
Then why, Director, when the President called the whistleblower a political hack and suggested that he or she might be disloyal to the country, why did you remain silent?
I did not remain silent, Mr. Chairman. I issued a statement to my workforce telling and committing my commitment to the whistleblower protection and ensuring that I would provide protection to anybody within the intelligence community who comes forward. But the way this thing was flowing out, I didn't think it was appropriate for me to be making a press statement so that we counter each other every step of the way.
I think.
But see, there's a difference between like being disloyal to the country and having a bias that maybe makes you send a report that's not really, accurate or worthy of concern, right? And of course, Donald Trump will say one thing, and who cares?
YouTube, Algo Lover, don't how folks trade with distractions like TV and such, a valid news feed or even music, but zipper mouth face.
Right.
It's a pleasure to.
So I just want to see if they're really reacting to it or not. It seems like they are. I think the main thing that makes me think that maybe they are is because of the way that the E-mini is trading sideways here. But overall, I don't know. And frankly, they're back here in ZN to where this kind of all started. Hmm. Now are they going to go all the way back to '04 half? That would be something else. But see, the treasuries have come off significantly. E-mini hasn't. So it's all, nothing is in line for me to take a trade. It's unfortunate. I was, maybe I'm not in the right state for this, but I was kind of thinking, hey, maybe there will be more volatility and we can catch another $40 trade in the E-mini. And I would be super happy. But there's 30 minutes left, so we could still do something, but look at this. I think I'm going to need to clear down. This is something that I almost never do in the 10-year, but
YouTube, Algo Lover, ZN, yes, to or question winking face.
it kind of looks to me like although we didn't see anything significant order flow wise at 10 half, they went past the target, they took the profit above the target, and they got out, and that's why it's falling back to where we started. So that kind of suggests to me okay, so now we're getting the up move in the E-mini that I think is maybe I'd like to see it keep going. Anyways, I don't know. So if that's true in the treasury, then I need to be a little bit more conservative if I take another trade in there.
YouTube, Greg Orlovsky, Econ.
Oh, did we?
YouTube,
We did
Algo
have.
Lover, yes, face with tears of joy.
We did have. Did we have some news there? Yeah. Oh, FOMC member Bullard is speaking, and there's pending home sales. What was pending home sales?
YouTube, Winstanzamom. Hello, gentlemen of fortune.
Oh,
How
there
goes
you
your day?
are.
I am stopping by so that sexy robot voice will say, hello Seth, hello Algo, hello Ace, wherever you are dancing. I hope your day goes well.
It's been okay so far. I would really like a winner in the E-mini, but we haven't been able to take one yet. But we are profitable in the end in treasuries, although I'm still a little frustrated. Like here,
YouTube, Algo Lover, at Winstanzamom, thumbs up, smiling face with sunglasses.
I had a long that was at 05 half that would have been great. And then I tried 07 half twice and it failed, but then eventually I caught it. So
YouTube, Ace Trades, at Winstanzamom, it's good now that you are here. I miss you when you are not here.
there you go. Yeah, I was wondering where you were. I was like, oh no, I was too conservative. I offended her. That's what I was. I was honestly thinking that because I was pretty animated yesterday over this whole thing, right? Oh my gosh, can I tell you? So yesterday, because my coworker, he's from China, and so it's so great to listen to him talk about the issues in China and what it's like over there, and a lot of what I know about that comes from him, and we got into China, and then it segued over into the complaint with the Ukraine thing.
YouTube, Winstanzamom, Ace,
Oh,
I
my-
miss you when I am not here. Seth, your date is wrong. No, you are not too conservative, but I was worried I was too open. No, you have simply been busy and I observed.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay, so let's fix that. Oh, here it is. Dashboard. It is the 26th. I should know that. I've been trying to practice on what is the date today. It's the 26th. Tomorrow's the 27th. You just got to keep track of it, right? Anyways, what was I getting at? Oh yeah, so we're talking about it, and there's this guy in a room, and I don't know what his deal is. I think maybe he's autistic of some sort, but he's just kind of the way I don't know. He's kind of a weird guy, and he got so upset. And I was explaining the thing that I explained to you guys yesterday, which is that the theory that it is an in-kind campaign contribution is a little bit dubious. Of course, a court may rule that it is, but it's not a slam dunk.
YouTube algo lover may stop by later. Watch him close. Okay, hand.
Okay. And so I was explaining that to him, and he was so triggered. And he's got like really loud and was going, I was like, it's not, I'm like, it's not a crime. And I just walked out of the room while he was ranting. It was kind of funny. But yeah, that's what I was saying yesterday. There was like, like my Democrat friends. So there was him, and then like with all of my people on Facebook were actually kind of quiet. I was like, I kind of felt like the Democrats were putting on a face yesterday. Like they weren't happy, but they were trying to pretend like everything was, that this was still going to go through. They were trying to avoid acknowledging that releasing the whistleblower report was a significant hit to the the headline, essentially. Anyways, I really am wondering if the market bid up because they thought that there was going to be something in that the director of national intelligence was going to say something significant. And then when they got done with Adam Schiff's questioning, they kind of, gave up on it, and that's why it retraced. That's another possibility, but it did hit a target too. So there's, it's really hard for us to know what's going on there. I'm a little surprised. Well, I shouldn't be. I said, is it going to go all the way back to 04.5? And it did. But like, I couldn't take a trade on that. No way. No way. And I didn't even actually really get a reliable signal. Like, there's this right here. There's this right here. But do you see when this happened? Afterwards, they ticked down 2 ticks and then back into the range. So that would actually probably be a signal long, but I ignored it, and then we failed, and now all this volume is coming out. And then there's a big divergence between cumulative delta and price as well. I wish I could have taken that short, but of course, let's see. And they are kind of buying in the E-mini, so I'm glad that I also read that E-mini trade the way that it was, because remember, I'll get a signal, but if the signal is in a chop, then I don't want to take it. Unless it's like really moving, Like when this came up, they were moving pretty hard. But then if it was like really going wild around here and really quickly, I think I might have taken a short in that area, because that's when they tend to reverse, Okay, so I fixed the date. We got about 15 minutes. I think, while I'm waiting here for something to maybe give us a signal, I should post my cryptocurrency notes, because I feel like I've been doing that a little bit later than normal. Also, felt like I was a little bit more focused today, yeah? We want to keep it up until the very end, though, so don't let me get too far off track, guys. I can watch it while I post these notes, at least. Notifications, thank you. And has anything moved here in the Bitcoins? Well, they made another attempt at 8,000, but it did not break. You know, we should do, while we're at it, let's see if there's any kind of indication of why. Hmm. Here's Bitfinex's BTC derivatives product with flash prices from S5K to S15K. We have no idea what happened. I don't know. Thursday, publish. Okay. Them dogs are like, hey, you got us out yesterday at this time. Why aren't you getting out now? And my pregnant wife is just upstairs like, nope, I'm not getting on my feet. Bark all you want. Well, here in 15 minutes I'll let them out. Am I a bad dog parent, guys? Because I let my dog sleep in until 8:30? I don't know. Mickey sure seems to think so. Interesting that they bounced at 0.4 but I wouldn't no. Well, I guess in the 30-year maybe an actionable signal. I didn't read it as that. I read this right here at 30 as an actionable signal short, by the way. Oh, I missed there that the E-mini, they were going up. They've come back down. They didn't make a new low. That might have been... No, it was not. I don't know. We might not get another trade, guys. I might be kind of in a situation where it's too hard to take a trade. What's going on with pending home sales? This chart has gone crazy. It looks like a methodology change. Could be. At the hearing, Jim Himes got the DNI to say that he would not discuss whether he spoke to President Trump about the whistleblower complaint. My conversations with the president, because I am the director of national intelligence, are privileged. Hunter Biden must be hiding somewhere with RGB and Jeffrey Epstein. Right. My gosh. It kind of bothers me sometimes, the propensity for the Donald Trump community to latch onto conspiracy theories. I'm all about, if there's a piece of evidence and that it should be investigated, more like like the Biden thing, like the Biden Ukraine thing. Sure, they should look into it. But running around and saying all of this stuff like that, what the truth is and all this nonsense, is just kind of stupid. And Jeffrey Epstein is still alive, guys. Give me a break. Give me a break. 29.77. I mean, if we had taken it from 79, we could have gotten a little bit. If we had taken it from 82, we could have gotten 5 points. It would have been, $20. It's not bad. I don't think that it's going to give me the kind of move that I maybe really want to see. did Nancy Pelosi just make one of the biggest political mistakes in history? She actually, she maybe did. But here's the problem. The market's reacting to this. The E-mini, it's not going higher. In fact, they're kind of going lower. And I think what's happening is that well, look, there's your short now. So now we're definitely not taking one, right? It seems to me like maybe all of this hoopla has concealed, let's say, has concealed more important changes in the underlying economy that the markets need to price in, and that means that the E-mini could go a little bit lower. Well, it wasn't a huge move, but that thing lower. I mean, the thing is I wanted to see that 79 break on a stop run. It did. But then when it got up there, it didn't give me another overextension signal, so I suppose I could have taken it, but I think that would have been off strategy at that point. Unless maybe Ace had seen something there, but I never saw one. Never saw him mention anything, so I don't know. I want to see what does Zero Hedge here. Now that this is happening, I think I can kind of just tune out a little bit and yap. Maybe someday they will pay me to yap. That would be fun. But until then, Nancy Pelosi just took the biggest gamble of her entire political career. If she is ultimately successful, she will be remembered as the woman that removed Donald Trump from the White House, and Democrats will treat her like a hero the rest of her life. But if she fails and Trump wins in 2020, the backlash that she created when she tried to impeach Trump is likely to be blamed, and she could potentially lose her leadership role in the House. Of course, at that point, she probably wouldn't want to remain in the House much longer, and she would be hated by many Democrats for the rest of her life for subjecting them to 4 more years of Trump. So it really is all on the line for Nancy Pelosi, and she never should have gone down this road if she wasn't absolutely certain that she could deliver. And at this point, most Americans don't want impeachment proceedings to happen. For example, just check out what the Morning Consult Politico poll just found. The poll conducted Friday through Saturday. Okay, so that was too far away, but let's just go with it anyways. As stories circled about Trump allegedly pressuring Ukraine to investigate former President Joe Biden, one of the Democratic candidates hoping to oust him, 36% of respondents said they believe Congress should just begin impeachment proceedings against Trump. Only 36%. That doesn't mean that they don't think that they should do an official investigation, impeachment. What do they call them? Hearings or whatever. Other surveys have similar results, but there's one survey out there that indicates most Americans would actually support impeachment proceedings if the evidence shows that Trump did use his presidential power to force a foreign leader to help him take down a political rival. It is found that Trump did use his presidential power to force a foreign leader to help take down a political rival. 55% of U.S. adults said they would support removing him from office. That's not high enough. But as it stands right now, on the national level, this is a very unpopular decision by Pelosi, and it could potentially hurt Democrats among key blocks of voters. Impeachment isn't selling where Democrats made their best gains in the midterms. A majority of suburban respondents oppose starting the impeachment process, with a wider gap among rural respondents, while urban voters are more ambivalent than one might guess, 47-35. Impeachment trails by double digits in the South, Midwest, and even in the Democrat-friendly Northeast. Another reason why is potentially a giant mistake by Nancy Pelosi is the fact that all of this focus on Ukraine is almost certainly going to damage one of the frontrunners for the Democratic nomination. Yes. There's not much to that story. I'm going to say I was actually a little bit disappointed Zero Hedge. There wasn't any like super crazy analysis in there that were like super insightful. It was just kind of stuff that we already knew. But I will pontificate for a moment. In my opinion, impeachment is intended to be a last resort, and the impeachment process is incredibly disruptive to the country. We can see that it is incredibly disruptive to the stock market. It is not something that you should go into purely for political reasons. I've been concerned for a long time because it seems like that Democrats just always want to impeach everything. They were talking about impeaching George Bush, and it's just not the way that impeachment was intended to be used as a political cudgel. If you go down the impeachment process, and I'm not even sure if they can get enough votes to file articles of impeachment. Man, if they went down this and then filing articles of impeachment failed, which is unlikely, but at the same time, there's a pretty good chance that they don't.
YouTube, Luis Alarid, 2/3 of the Senate has to find the president guilty. That won't happen.
Yeah, exactly. So if they can even get the articles of impeachment, then they're going to get to the Senate, and they're not going to get 2/3. In fact, my recollection is that the majority of the Senate voted to impeach Bill Clinton. Isn't that correct? But it wasn't 2/3, and so it didn't happen. But they had a majority, which it's irrelevant, right? And I just think that the mood of the American people at that point will be that you put us through all of this huge disruption. And honestly, it's going to be like emotionally taxing for people at this point. And then you don't get anything. I think they're going to be very bitter about it. So, and okay, maybe you actually have something that's impeachable, then you should go for it. But did the Democrats actually have enough information to make that kind of a determination at the time? No, they did not. They did not have the report sitting in their hands. And I think that going forward with it before they sat on their hands looks incredibly foolish. And so when you kind of package that all together, I think that Nancy probably made a really big mistake. Now, the caveat, as always, there's always going to be a caveat, but the caveat that I would place is that if investigation reveals something else that turns out to be incredibly damaging to the president and turns the public opinion against him, then of course it all ends up being worth it. But they don't actually know if such a thing exists. That's just a completely random chance. So I view it as like Nancy Pelosi is like throwing everything on the line on a Hail Mary. Nunes should not be telling the DNI who is under oath, be careful what you say. That's partisan hackery, and it will completely undermine any credibility the ranking member of a committee is supposed to have. Agreed. Cryptos tumble for third day as manipulation fears build, but I don't see any. I don't see anything super crazy happening over there. Okay, so I'm getting something again in the 30-year. But it's right after a little bit of a sideways choppy zone, so I think I kind of might have to ignore that one too. Well, what do we have on the dot? We have a good number tomorrow, right? It's personal spending, right? Yes, personal spending, core PCE price index. That's an important number. The Federal Reserve looks at that number. Change in the price of goods and services purchased by consumers, excluding food and energy. Differs from CPI in that it only measures goods and services targeted towards and consumed by individuals. Prices are weighted according to total expenditure per item, which gives important insights into consumer spending behavior. This is rumored to be the Federal Reserve's favorite inflation measure, but CPI is released about 10 days earlier and tends to garner most of the attention. Okay, so they moved a little bit higher there. There could maybe be another further drop in the E-mini. Bum, 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 bum. What is Dennis Cartman up to? New recommendation. Given that the 10-year note has risen into the quote-unquote box, as made evident by the chart at the lower left of P1 this morning, we are willing sellers of the December T note futures at or near 113 as possible. Those who cannot trade futures can get short of the bond market by owning TBT. Will have a stop in tomorrow's TGL, but for now, the highs of yesterday and Tuesday will suffice. And Hap says, every Garmin sub knew to get long treasuries this morning. Assuming he meant 130, not 113. Yes, probably. I think that they might be looking at a different contract. But at the same time, it went up to that spot and then they sold it. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's part of why it got
Greg
sold like
Orlovsky,
that.
The gurus say, hold your runners. B.S. Short S at 77.50 goes down to 72.50. Now pushes to my entry.
Well, the gurus say that because when they say hold your runners, they're talking about a move that goes for like days and days, you know? What is that? I love that documentary that they made from CNBC talking about the futures pit. And there's this trader that was incredibly successful, but he doesn't trade anymore. And he does the interview drunk and he's like, people don't understand. If you have a winner, or if it's losing, add more. Just add more. And if it's winning, let it ride. Just let it ride. It's just. I think you do want to let your runners run, but it's a difficult thing to know if you're letting it run or if you're waiting for a next move. Does that make sense? So, like, let's say, for instance, that we had gotten long at 050 in the Treasury. Okay, that was our trade that we missed, right? It comes up and then it sits here for about 30 minutes in this range at 07.5.
YouTube, Greg Orlovsky, God Seth, I really don't know.
Okay, so if you've got a winner and then it's been sitting at the same spot for 30 minutes, I'm not saying that we should have taken the profit, because obviously, if you had let it come back the 3 ticks and still held on to it, and then it got up, you would have been very, very happy. For sure, no doubt about that, right? But you're waiting for a second move. You're waiting for another move. So the key is how to know when that swing is over. And that's why I took this one. I took it off at 115 because I knew that swing was over. I had no clue that it was going to completely reverse. That was quite a surprise to me. But anytime that a move reverses, it's usually a surprise to me. Except for some of these news
YouTube,
ones.
Greg Orlovsky, yes, 4 points on 2L.
Yeah. I say with the way that we're trying to trade with order flow, I believe that if you get an order flow
YouTube,
signal,
Greg Orlovsky, but just took 1 point.
oh, there you go. I think that if you get an order flow signal, that beyond one swing, what you just saw is no longer valid at that point. Okay. So you might know from the larger action that we're in a trend day up. Okay. But you have absolutely, so you could say there's going to be a pullback, but because that it's a different swing, this order flow signal that you got here tells you nothing about how far back it's going to come here for the pullback, you know? And it could even continue going. So I think that you take that for the swing that you know, and then if you get another situation that gives you a good enough chance of predicting another swing, then you take another trade. But that's the way that I do it. If you want to let them ride, then you're not scalping order flow at that point. You're doing like volume profile swinging. Anyways, 4 points on too long. That's in the 10-year. Oh no, 77.50. You're talking about in the E-mini. So you went short 77.50. Which wasn't actually a bad spot. I can kind of see here when I look at the Vista chart why you might have taken it there. But then yes, it came down and it come back to you. Well, and this is the other thing is everything that I just said, that works really, really well in the 10-year for me. But the E-mini, I'm just not quite sure I've got that beast figured out, because to me, it looks like it's so random. You can have a trade, you take it short at 77.50, and you get this huge sell, and then it completely retraces, and then you could get this huge sell again, and it goes down and it extends. And you're like, oh, I'm sure glad that I held on to that. And then you'll have another one that just completely blows in your face and goes into your stop and reverses and goes higher. And you're like, oh, what's going on? I'm completely clueless. I just don't think that your order flow reads in the E-mini are necessarily always reliable because it's an index. I digress. It's time for me to go. They could maybe have another push up, but kind of there's still this open question about why did they move the way that they did today. Maybe it was just the DNI testimony. Anyways, I think those numbers that we get tomorrow are really important for inflation. So I will see you guys then. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.